Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts Podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. With your hosts, Drew and Daniela. Take our hands and let's walk this journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Meaningful Hearts Podcast. I hope everyone is doing amazing. Daniela and I are sitting in crispy, is that crispy? Cold weather? Crispy? New York? No, it's 60 degrees again. It's going to go back into the summer for a little while, I think, or the spring. Not really sure which way it's going, but we're here, we're live, and you're going to get a recording of it. Well, today we would like to talk about being taken advantage of and what that looks like. I know that a friend of mine, I was having a conversation with him the other day, or maybe I think it was maybe earlier today. And we were talking about a predicament that he is in currently where he's a professional doing some photo work for a friend of his or an acquaintance of a friend of his. And before getting involved in this, I'll give a little backstory, was, he's trying to expand his business, trying to grow it. He does have the professional skills and expertise to execute what he was looking to do, some photo work for a wedding. And, he sat down with the person and, got linked up with her, and they wanted, she wanted to get her wedding photos done. Her budget doesn't necessarily allow for an extravagant setup, but in any case, he was inclined to do the work and meet her with the pricing on it. And, they set a date to do it all and negotiated on the price, and everything was fine. But when he walked away from it, I had a conversation with him about it, and I told him, maybe you should implement some sort of, contract, and maybe you should not, negotiate your price because you already offered a price that it should be reasonable to her based on who she's related to, whatever. And he, dismissed me like, no, that's crazy. You shouldn't do that. And I'm trying to expand my business and I'm just trying to get the client. Okay, fair enough. I'm not here to, impose on my opinions. It's just my friend. I care about my friend, and this is how I would handle it. Fast forward. Now, this is after the wedding happened, after he did the photos, after he delivered the photos as promised. He got half of the money up front and the other half upon delivery he's supposed to. And she hates the photos. She's actually almost in tears about them and upset. So he says, no problem. Let me do the photo, let me re-edit the photos for you. Let me see if I could add a little more. Was very, very understanding of everything, all the circumstances, didn't complain one bit. But he noticed that her communication was poor with him. Even during the wedding, it was poorly handled from the start. And now he's now he's feeling the weight of it all. Like, wow, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, which brings us to our topic today. And it poses the question, Daniela, would you like to pose the question? Okay, she's not going to pose the question. The question is, if you are an expert at what you do, or you're good at what you do, and a friend or somebody comes along and needs your services or wants to use you as the expert in their solution, should you give them a discount, or should you do it for free, or should you be obligated to just hand over your skill set to them at a discount? Is that something you should do? And all, obviously, with that being said, all the other things that can go on with that on the other side, if you are a person who knows somebody who does something for a living that you could utilize their skills, would you expect a discount or want to do it for a cheaper price? And do you think that's something that you would do? It's really the question. In my opinion, or maybe Daniela, would you like to give your opinion first?
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, what would I do? Because for me specifically in my line of work, I'm my work is not at a discount rate. Like,
she's very expensive.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. In the practice that I work for, there certainly have been times where if a client is in a financial hardship, we're not going to turn it down. We're going to try to work with you as much as possible. My particular practice. I don't necessarily think all practices do that. I think we try to be as understanding as possible. But I can also tell you that there have been times when we've done that and then people want more and more discounts. Or, there have been times where people let their balances rack up and then they don't communicate. So, I wouldn't agree with the idea of giving discounts for services simply because I don't feel I don't know if morally right is the right thing to do, I guess.
I guess it really depends on the trade that you're in. I mean, for what the service that you provide, I mean, I guess it's technically there's insurance involved. If they don't have insurance, I mean, but there's an expectation, I guess, when they come to your practice, it's more or less to say, hey, listen, can you help me out? Is there anything you could do? But
yeah, they're also not family or friends. I think it really gets trickier when it's family or friends or people that you know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about our mutual friend and how we met. There have been times where I have asked him to come take a look at something in my apartment, and I don't want him to think that I'm just using his services just to get a discount. Whenever he's come out, he's the one that says, just pay me for the parts, and I will say no. Like, how much would you charge this? Because I'm not coming to you so that you could give me a discount. I'm coming to you because I know that you have good work ethic and I want to help you in your business, not ask for discounts. And I think that's where those boundaries and those lines really get crossed.
Yeah, I think that for the most part, it comes from I think for the most part, somebody has to respect you, right? There has to be respect. I respect you for the business that you provide. And on the other side of the spectrum, there's a mutual understanding. Hey, I respect you and I want you to pay me because you know that I will do it right. And on the other side is they respect you and they want to give you not that and more, because it's not about the money for me. On my side, that's how I look at it. It's not about the money for me. I do something for free for my loved ones. Now, I don't want anything from them. If they could promote me or if they could help me out in that way, that would be great. But listen, there are some times where maybe the cost, you're running a big business and you have to charge the cost of the business to keep the business running. And that's understood. Now, as a person asking for help, I have a friend who has a repair shop. He repairs cell phones, all types of electronics. I actually avoid asking for help if I really need it, because there are a lot of times where he won't charge me, and it frustrates me. Sometimes I want to go in the store under an alias, not say anything, and just pay like a regular customer. And that's I've done that. I've done that once where I needed something, I just bought it. Because there were people that will literally take advantage of that. I want a special discount. What do you think? It wasn't free for him. It's time, labor, it's the parts, and it's the expertise. It's the years of understanding and knowing how to do it. So I think there needs to be a mutual respect. Like, I don't want anything from you but your friendship and your help, but I want you to help me because you're invested emotionally in making sure that I get the best outcome. And I'd pay you double for that, because you're going to do more than anybody else, no matter how much anybody else charges, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that it's one of those areas where it's circumstantial depending on the relationship that you have with people. I know personally for me, I wouldn't want, would a discount be great? Yes, absolutely. But I don't want that to get in the way of, I guess, the friendship or the type of relationship, because if you're not willing to pay, that's like somebody having a startup business and then another person wanting to give them business, but then asking for a discounted rate. Like, where is the person going to profit? You're supposed to support your friends. You're supposed to support, those people. I don't know. I personally wouldn't not pay a friend. Like, I'd want to know, like, what would you normally charge for this? I think, though, it's not up to me or you or either of us to tell people whether they should or shouldn't either ask for discounts or give discounts. I think every situation and every relationship is different, but I do like the idea that if they're, depending on the type of relationship and what the circumstance is, that there does need to be some type of written contract.
Yeah.
I like that idea because it clearly states, hey, this is the agreement. And aside from whatever friendship or relationship we have, business is business, at least to me. That might sound harsh. That might seem straightforward or maybe too direct or too blunt, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I would recommend people to think about, because then what ends up happening is kind of what's happening to your friend, where he's feeling burnt out, he's feeling obligated, he's feeling discouraged because he had already given a discounted price, and now this person, the quality of the pictures, she could be right? Like, the quality of the pictures, or she may be really unhappy with the pictures. That could be true, but it could also be her just being nitpicky because she's so particular about budget and stuff like that. If somebody can't afford to pay like however much money they consider too much, then those expectations, those conversations need to be had about what's to be expected. You cannot pay $500 or $1,000, whatever it is, and expect to get $10,000 worth of quality. You might, for sure, but you can't have that expectation. That's not fair on your friend. I don't think that's fair to anybody. It's the same if I were to go and say, like, I have a friend who she started like her own bakery, I guess, like baked goods, but not in like bread, but more like cakes and treats. That's like me asking her, hey, can you bake me this cake and put your all into it, but only sell it to me for like $50, whatever. Okay, so that's not fair, because you have to think about the time, how much time, and effort the other person is going to place into the job,
product. Yeah.
I guess.
I think that the contract keeps both parties honest. I mean, for instance, if you made plans with your friends, or you communicated with your friends, and then your friends go back on and say, I didn't say that, and you show them the text message, and they still argue about it. Think about somebody you don't know that well, and you're doing a business transaction when they have to give you something in return, you have to give them something. Yeah. Think about how crazy that gets, and how out of control it gets. It really just keeps everybody on. It keeps all parties honest. These are your deliverables upon what you give me, and it's all straight up there. And if you want to fight it further, okay, we really want to get that far into it, there's legal, obviously you don't want to go there, but it's just, like I said, I operate a business. This is legitimate, but I think there's a level of understanding. The part where she started to ask for more once, he got to the wedding and all these extra things. And he clearly stated, obviously not on paper, but talking to her, hey, I can and cannot do this.
Right.
This is what I can do. He even did samples before the wedding to give her an idea. So there was a lot of prep work. He did a lot from start to finish to set that expectation. But the one thing that he didn't do was put his foot down and say, this is what I'm going to do, and keep her honest to that. And I think that's where he fell short. And there's very little room for him to do anything besides, moving forward, say, hey, listen, I'm willing to sacrifice the other 500, and this is what you're getting, and that's that. I'm not moving any further. And if you do want revisions or edits, this is how much it's going to be. And upon delivering that to you, I want my money, my X amount of dollars, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the reason why I would also agree with you on that aspect is because it's not to say that we shouldn't do kind things, like not that we shouldn't go above and beyond for those that we serve. I think that we absolutely should. Can we offer discounts? Yes, absolutely. Can we do those contracts? Yes, absolutely. But I also think that it's important to consider what you're worth. I know you and I have talked about this. We kind of joke about it sometimes. There is a profession where somebody gets paid a few $1,000s to name somebody's kid. Like who? How do you determine the value of your work if you're willing to always give more than what you're, I don't know if like willing to receive, if you're always giving more or kind of sacrificing too much, rather, is what I think I should say. Now, again, I think it's important to emphasize, it's not that I don't believe you should offer free, like some type of free service. Now, if he would have done something like, this is it, now I will offer you a complimentary package, right? Like that's different than offering services for a discounted rate. It's just different language. You're still giving some form of discounts, but it's just different. I wouldn't want people to think that they shouldn't offer value without that they shouldn't offer the value at no cost. I wouldn't want people to think that. You can offer the value at no cost, but also being mindful of what that means to you. How is that going to affect how you see your own work? Because I know that seminars that you and I have attended, people that don't know the content of the seminars can very easily say they're just selling you guys on all this stuff. Like it's all money based, and they sell you on one product, they sell you on another product so that you can keep on spending and spending. And yes, that's very true. But it's also the presenters, the speakers, they also know the quality of their work, and they know how much it's worth. And I think it's important to include that. I don't know if it's a little bit of a ramble, but
no,
I think it's
very much true. I mean, these people are at the top of their game. If LeBron James was going to do a masterclass on how to drive the ball to the net one-on-one with him, what do you think that would cost? That man could charge $1 million, $2 million. He could charge whatever he wants, pretty much. He is the greatest in the game at this point. I mean, set aside Michael Jordan, all these other greats, but the man has been doing this his whole life. This man has surpassed the best in the world. I mean, in the league, the best of the best. Even to be considered in the league, to even be on the bench is an accomplishment. But this man is elite above that. And people will spend the money. People will buy his merchandise. Now, is his merchandise any different than some of the other merchandise that's out there that's at a discount? No, but it's perception. It's your perception. People spend $200 on a pair, $1,000 on a pair of Jordans. They're not made with any special material. The hype around them, right, is there. Now, you can go to another store and get the same quality material on a different sneaker and pay substantially less. It's all perception. If you're starting out and you're just starting to sell sneakers, or you're just starting to sell something, people don't see the brand equity. They're going to give you what they think it's worth. Same thing with your business. If you don't show and you don't prove that brand equity, you don't show the quality, if you don't do the work, and if you don't present yourself in a way, people are like, oh, and you're willing to just go to and discount it. I'm like, okay, yeah, he doesn't know what he's worth. And that's great, because there's plenty of benchmarkers out there of people that spend $20,000 on photos. I mean, people spend $50,000, $100,000 on flowers. Do all florists charge the same? No, there's packages out there for different budgets, but they still have a guideline in which they're going to present their product and the package that they're willing to offer. They're not going to haggle with everybody. That there's a place for that, but you're never going to be able to build good brand equity if you're constantly getting haggled. You got to move to a place where you don't have to deal with that anymore. I think that the other thing that's interesting is a friend of his, I think, or somebody, an acquaintance or whatever, saw the quality of the pictures and was like, wow, I've paid for work for my wedding photos. I paid about $4,000 or $5,000 and they're just as good as the pictures you took. So it's like, wow,
perception.
It's interesting. It's like, I've had people that want to overpay you for something. I've been to a pizzeria and I had a slice of pizza where I wanted to go hug the chef and I wanted to pay more for that slice because I thought it was that good. Nobody told me. I've been to a million pizzerias all over the place, but I walked into that place. It was just something about it. It's just perception. And unfortunately,
it is.
he stepped into some doo-doo. He stepped into a pile of doo-doo, and now he has to. It's not the end of the world for him. It's just that you got to be a little selective about your clients and how you protect yourself as your business, I think.
Yeah, it's a learning experience for sure, I would say, which would actually lead me. There were some questions that I was thinking about as we were having this conversation to leave the. I was going to say leave the reader with.
Leave the reader. Okay.
Yeah, leave the listener or our listeners with. And it's a few questions, but I think they're really good questions to ask yourself in business, if you have your own business or if you have a side hustle, or if there's something that you can offer to people, but also just in life. And these questions are understanding, what is your threshold? At what point do you know it's enough? At what point do you decide this is what my product is worth, and this is the boundary that I am setting? Now, where am I willing to compromise, and how can I compromise, or how can you compromise rather, so that you and the other party are both satisfied? Because you also don't want to be too strict with your boundaries out of fear of getting taken advantage of, and then you've got none or very little potential clients. And I think these are good questions to ask from a business standpoint. Not that I own my own business or anything, but I think they're still good questions because I've talked to clients who are business owners. And when I've asked these questions, it provides a lot of insight into how people feel about themselves and their work. And you can also ask it in other areas of your life.
I think overall, even if you're not selling a product or a commodity, or you're not in a business physically, like quote unquote business, you're in the business of yourself, and you create value in your community, around your coworkers, or around your friends and family. Now, if you're winning in life, if you're setting the gold standard and doing all the things, you're a high valued person, and you can ask and charge or do as you please. You will get that respect. You'll get everybody's ear. So you are in essence building your own brand. And what what does building your own brand look like? Like, do you go to the gym? Do you take care of yourself? Do you read? What are your stats, right? Because at the end of the day, being a credible person opens up a lot of doors. Being a credible business, obviously, and being the best in your business also opens up a lot of doors as well. So I just think that in general, just what value do you bring? And what are you willing to ask for it? So just a piggyback on top of what you were asking. You could add a little bit more to a little bit more thought to that, but that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I thank everyone for listening, and I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful, wonderful week.